So we've talked through the ability to explicitly allocate costs to your state program and division. But say for this office supplies purchase, I actually want the expenses to not be allocated to just one program. So let me just make this a real world example. I'll choose Alabama. I'll choose Birmingham. And then you'll see Birmingham has these 3 programs plus the general. And I'm going to say, well, really, these supplies are going to benefit all of these programs. So if I were to select TFC, that means this entire expense gets charged to TFC. If I instead come over here to this default allocation, and I say, no, I don't want to do to TFC. I want to allocate this based on the standard allocation for that division. If I select this, it's going to override everything you coded to the left. And what AP is going to do is it's going to say, all right, and I'm going to make numbers up. For the Birmingham division, the division allocation is 40% TFC, 30% IIHS, and 30%, I guess that's unallowable. So that's not a great example, but you get my point. It's going to split that up and automatically allocate a portion of that expense across the divisions that are represented in that division. Okay? If I instead said that this 2275 really benefits me and the programs I work in, then what I would do is I would say follow my employee allocation. So if I'm allocated 70% to TFC and 30% to IIHS, that's how we're going to allocate this $22.75. And again, once you select either employee allocation or division allocation here, it's going to override your default department, your state, your division, and your program. Okay, Sandy says the fund type should default to general. I'm going to do one more example for you, and I'm going to do some more supplies for an office, and it's going to be office supplies for the division. I went to Staples this time, and I spent $500, okay? And so what I want to do is we've talked about 2 ways of allocating expense. One is I can choose from these drop-downs. 2 is I can do the division allocation or the employee allocation. And now a third, and I promise you the final way, is to hit this allocate button at the bottom of the screen. And when I hit allocate, it's going to pop open a new window, and it's going to allow me to split this up as many times as I want, exactly how I want it. So if I were to say that 90% of this expense was for executive at America in general, then I would enter 90%. I can also allocate by the amount. If I go to this allocate by drop down and select amount, now I can say $450 of this purchase was for the executive department at America, and the other 50 was for business development at America. So now what I've done is I'm able to allocate this across multiple cost centers, but it's not the same as my employee allocation or the standard division. I'm making my own up based on what I know I purchased. And so what I do now is I've entered my allocations. If I wanted to enter another line, you just hit this add new allocation, and it gives you another line. So I can make this 25 and 25 now, okay? And now I'll hit save, and I've allocated that expense. So when AP runs these reports through, they will know exactly how and where to charge those expenses. Okay? And once again, you'll see on my Staples expense here, I've got that icon saying I need a receipt image. And I'm going to leave that hang out there for a minute.
As with any change, there are bound to be some hiccups along the way, and some minor adjustments to be made. However, we hope that you have found this brief tutorial helpful. If you still have questions, please review your Concur User Guide. The Concur User Guide is a valuable resource as it contains a great deal of information to help you navigate in this new expense management system. Also be sure to check out our full Concur tutorial and frequently asked questions located on the SAFI YouTube channel. If you find you still have questions after following these steps, you may contact Sandy Fisher or Shirley Hall in the Accounts Payable Department at the SAFI Service Center.